we'll get to that. Yeah, I can definitely see, how triggered you are when you talk about, talking, your frustrations with the Nigerian movie industry at the time, particularly the promoters. It's something that a lot of people went through, and I think a lot of people say that the industry is a lot better for it nowadays. So getting to the Mirror Boy, because I believe the Mirror Boy was the movie that first got your foot in the door. Like, if we're talking about kicking the door down, with full force, like the Mirror Boy was definitely that movie for you. I remember I actually saw the Mirror Boy at the time, in 2011. Yes, I did. I
Thank
found
you.
it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But I found it very interesting. Like, from my own personal point of view, I found it very interesting because I didn't really expect the twist at the end, because it's one of those things where if you watch the movie again, it kind of makes a lot of sense, but you don't necessarily pick on it until the twist actually happens. But two things that I want to pick on. Number one, from what you said about your experience with the Nigerian film industry, was your decision to make the Mirror Boy primarily based in the UK, coming back to Africa, was that more because you did not want to deal with Nigerians, or because of the convenience of the location? That's the first question. And then the second question is, why the Gambia as opposed to Nigeria? Because was it also because of dealing with Nigerians that made you choose
Okay.
the
All right.
Gambia
First question.
as a location?
So by the time I was making the Mirror Boy, I had spent what? I had spent 18 years in the UK.
Okay.
So I'd become a hybrid African British guy, and I wasn't really completely cut out. I wasn't thinking exactly like my colleagues in Nollywood. Even though there was a general acceptance of me as one of them, but my mindset was slightly different. My worldview was slightly different, and just like in research, if you want to write a thesis, you have to find a gap in the academy to address. So I looked at the industry. I had to find a gap, and that gap was something that I felt would be, it's a kind of stories that haven't been told. Nollywood doesn't tell stories from the point of view of a younger person. It's usually an adult perspective. So I said I wanted to tell a story that had the perspective of a 12-year-old. And the 12-year-old is the star of the film, as opposed to adults doing that. That was a completely business decision. And I was, I wanted to take advantage of the fact that I lived in the UK and I had this solid Africanness about me. So it became a spiritual, almost traditional religion spirituality, not Catholic or Muslim modern religions in spirituality, our ancient religion spirituality, which I kind of, sugar-coated in such a way that it became a simple story that people could relate to, and Christians. Incidentally, my executive producer was a pastor, essentially supporting a pagan film, but it doesn't come across that way. So I fused my Britishness and my Africanness and say, how best do I portray these two ideas? So the stories that I tell from that point always have an African angle and a UK angle. So I needed an African angle, and I was intent on coming to the second question, filming it, the African side in Nigeria, obviously where I have a relative advantage because I'm from here, I know people from here. I wanted to shoot it in Obudu Ranch. So I met the Commissioner for Tourism and Cross River State in London at an expo, and they spoke very highly and invited me, come, we'll support you, blah, 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 you shoot, blah, 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 blah.
I feel like I know where this is going.
I packed up my bags, came to Reki, landed in Cross River State. I didn't know that Obudu Ranch was like 1 year's drive from there. Very decrepit road, very bad, dangerous roads in very poor state of repair. I made the trip to Obudu. First of all, the lady said, go and see Obudu and then come back and we talk. So I went to Obudu Ranch, and he had everything that we wanted. He had hills, he had streams, he had forest, he had plain lands, he had, beautiful place. I said, wow, okay, we can do this. So I came back to Calabar, went to meet the commissioner, and they said they can't help, that they could have given me a vehicle to take me to Obudu. That's the production. But, they promised accommodation. No, the accommodation is no longer available, blah, blah, blah. Essentially, nothing, no support whatsoever. So I checked it. I would bring a crew back from London, take some actors from Nigeria here, instead of shooting in Lagos or Abuja, where I have control, where I have things at my beck and call. I would transport everybody to Calabar. From Calabar, put them on the road to this dangerous trip for what? No support whatsoever. So by this time, there was a young lady in London who had cast in one of the roles. She was from Gambia and Sierra Leone. So her mom is from Gambia and her father is from Sierra Leone. Her name is Fatima Jabe. So as I was in Nigeria coming back from, I was at the airport, Fatima calls me and said, when are we shooting? I said, that shooting is not going to happen soon because I have to find a location. This place is nice, but it's not going to work. And she said, why don't you come to Gambia? I said, I'm waiting. They only sell granuts there. What do they know about films? He said, hold on, she will call me back. So I was still waiting at the airport. The phone now rings, and I pick my phone. And there's a soft voice, almost effeminate voice, came on the phone. She said, Fatima said, hold on, and passed the phone on to somebody. And he said, hello, Mr. Nigeria. I said, Nigeria man. He calls me Nigeria man. Hello, Nigeria man. I said, hello, sir. Who am I speaking with? And he said, my name is Yaya Jame. Yaya, as in the president? Oh, you don't believe me? Oh, Fatima, take your phone. No, I believe you, sir. I believe you, sir. That was it. I was speaking to the president.
Wow.
Fatima had a proximity with the president and begged him to support the project. He said, look, you guys should come. We don't have money, but we'll give you accommodation, license to shoot anywhere. We'll provide you army, soldier, security, vehicles, whatever you need, but no cash, but whatever else you need.
Wow.
I said, wow, I don't believe this. Let me go see for myself. As I landed in Gambia, from the tarmac, they brought their masquerade. That it was like a state visit. They celebrated me, and I said, wow, now this is what we're talking about. They took me around a place called Makasutu where we shot the film. It was like a tourist resort. Everything was perfect. I said, you know what, crew, let's come. And that's how Gambia happened. And it was, I would say, one of the most conducive production environments that I faced as a filmmaker, because we had everything, state level, national level. It's not, if we're driving down the road and we see a nice place and we say, let's stop and shoot here, we'll just stop. The soldiers will block the road and we'll shoot there. It was great. That's it.
There's one recurring theme here, there's one recurring theme, and it's always how working in Nigeria there's always a negative angle to working in Nigeria, having to work with people in Nigeria, and I feel like it's way worse, especially when you now don't have your boots on the ground, because I think there's a certain level of relatability that is missing, even though you're still Nigerian, but I think a lot of the times it's not because of the fact that you're Nigerian, it's because maybe that relatability is not there. All their head is thinking is they have money, this guy has money, let me see how much I can get from this guy, and it's more about that. I feel like here people are very, very short-sighted because of how the country is, the situation of living. So most people think about just getting what they need to get from the person. Then if they are
get it now,
if they are even going to give you what they say they are going to give you in terms of maybe a good or a service, a transaction, like they shall collect their own from you first, before you now start talking about whether or not they are going to do what they said they would do in the first place. Things are a lot better.
Let me add, incidentally, Fatima Jabe, the lady that took me to Gambia, is now the first lady of Sierra Leone.
Wow. How did that come about?